That'd be exactly, because that's a lot. All right, hey Coach Henry, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. All right, so for my PRT 266 assignment, I have to do an interview with someone in the sports area. So me personally, I want to be a coach when I get older.
Okay.
So I mean, I look up to you. You were my safeties coach for a season. You're nickels and safeties this year.
Yep.
So I would like to go ahead and interview you. I know you got a lot of good stuff to say. So I'm gonna start off with the first question of give us a brief background overview of your name, position for NC State, and your age.
Name is Aaron Henry, known as Coach Henry. My position is nickels now. I was a safeties coach last year. Mm-hmm. Now I'm coaching the nickels, and me and a guy by the name of Ted Roof are coaching together. Mm-hmm. Age, I'm 29. School, you said school, right?
Yeah.
School, University of Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah.
That's where I met our head coach, Dave Dorn. Mm-hmm. He recruited me out of high school and was our defensive coordinator.
Right. Okay, cool. So what made you, how did you get into coaching?
I never had dreams or aspirations in getting into coaching. I think the biggest thing for me, I wanted to help people. I wanted to help young men. I used to be a high school teacher. That's how I kind of parlayed into coaching, man. I just love helping people.
Yeah.
I come from a big family, and so, but I never originally had plans on being a college football coach. It was more so about helping young men, teaching. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed being I was a high school and middle school teacher in Arkansas when I lived in Arkansas as well as in Michigan. But I guess it was more so to help people.
Right. All right, that's cool. So what makes you different from every other coach to be able to get such a great job at a young age?
I think the biggest thing is we're all wired a little different. But I would probably say my personality. And I was just fortunate, everybody takes a different journey, different path. Mm-hmm. I am a younger guy in this profession. I would just say I was just blessed, and my personality is what makes me different.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
My moral compass and my genetic makeup, and how I was raised and the things that I grew up around. That's what makes me different.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. So for you, what do you think the key is for coaching? What do you think the key is to be a great coach?
I think the key to being a great coach, I don't think there's any one key. I would say I'll probably give you two keys. I would say the first key is being a really good teacher, being able to teach. I think that's a part of coaching, and upon being able to teach, I would second that and say being able to communicate.
Yeah.
How you communicate with people, how you deal with people, how you deal with relationships. And I think it's a combination of the both of them. Can you teach and can you communicate?
Right.
All right. Because there are some really, really good teachers out there who can get words and verbalize things to their audience or to their students, but they also know a way about communicating that makes them even that much more special. Then there are some teachers out there who probably can't communicate as well. They know how to teach something, but they can't communicate it as well
to connect to them,
to their different audiences. Because every year you're going to have a different group of kids come in as a teacher.
Right. Got it. So this is obviously a question for everyone that wants to get into coaching, such as myself, but it's just a blank question. How is the pay? How do you think the pay is for?
The pay is awesome. The pay is incredible. But I would tell you, if you get in it for the pay, you probably don't get out of it for the pay as well.
Right.
I think the biggest thing is when you decide that you want to do this. Like I've always told myself, if I wouldn't do it for free, I don't want to do it forever.
Right.
And
that's a good point.
The biggest thing is if you're not willing to take that risk and do it for free, and I genuinely mean that. I get you got bills to pay, and I get it may sound good, but if you're not genuinely willing to do it for free, then the pay ain't gonna matter. That's because they can be paying you $1 million, and you at some point in time you're gonna think it's not enough.
Right. That's a good point. So explain to me what a graduate assistant is and why that's where most future coaches have to start. Because for me, example, when I'm done with college, my college career, I know graduate assistant would be considered the next step into coaching. So explain to me what that is, and I don't know, did you go through being a graduate assistant at one point?
Yeah, and it's different stages. For some people, It's a student manager. For some people, it's a graduate assistant. I think it's just a way to get yourself in the door to find out if you really like it.
Yeah.
Some people say that they want to coach and they become a graduate assistant. They realize they hate it. They realize they hate the hours.
Yeah.
They realize they hate taking commands from people, and that's how you know you don't want to do it. But a graduate assistant, all a graduate assistant is he's one of the lower men on the totem pole, and he does a lot of the footwork. You know, in terms of getting reports done, in terms of breaking down film, just a lot of the busy work. He does a lot of the busy work, and it can be painstaking and tough sometimes, but it's probably a testament to how hard that individual works.
Yeah. So, how does coaching impact your time with family? Because I know coaching is a very committed, like you have to be very committed. So
yeah, and that's probably the biggest thing in this profession. It's very, very. I don't have no wife, no kids, so I guess I would say I'm fortunate right now to not be in that position where I'm putting my family in the bind. But it impacts them significantly because if you're in a relationship or if you're married or you have children, you're going to be away from them. If it's 24 hours in a day, at least 16 of them.
Yeah.
You know, that's just the reality of it. Especially when I say 16, I'm talking about during the season. And so you gotta find a strong-willed woman. You gotta find a woman who's somewhat independent. You gotta find a woman who is willing to, I guess, kind of put all her eggs in you and trust you that you can help bring the family along. And you got to find somebody who's very, very, very confident in who they are. You know, because there's going to be a lot of times she's going to be spending a lot of time by herself. You know, and I would probably say the toughest part is the effect it can have on your kids. You know.
No doubt.
I mean, as coaches, we're away from our families a lot. You know, and a grown woman can probably handle it to a degree, but a kid, I think, I don't think you start to see the effects that it has on a kid until later on in life. So I would probably say that's probably the toughest part about this profession.
Yes, sir. So let's get a little bit into recruiting because I know that's a big part in your job. When you have to go on recruiting trips, how is that?
I mean, it's cool. I mean, now it's kind of changed, but usually we're usually if it's an evaluation period, we're usually stopping by the high school, have a chance to see the kid that we like. We watched them on film already. Upon seeing them on film, you get a chance to see them in person, then you get a chance to see them at practice. And a normal recruiting day is in North Carolina. I'll probably get up early that morning, depending on where my first school is. If it's an hour out, if it's 2 hours out from where I'm staying, I get up and I try to be to the first school. In North Carolina, school usually starts like around 8:30. So I try to get to the first school by 8:30. School usually ends by 3:50. So in between 8:30 and 3:50, I usually try to hit relatively 7 or 8 schools a day. When you make a stop at a school, you're asking for academic reports. You're asking for character issues. If you have any character issues. You're asking for any personal things going on in his life. You're just trying to get to know the kid. We usually have an idea going into the school, the kids that we're after, what we're looking for, what we want. Try to make it cleaner, a cleaner run. But around this time of year, from April 15th until June 1st, June 1st, it's probably like relatively 6 to 8 weeks. Coaches are on the road recruiting. And so that's time away from their family.
Nonstop. It's a process for sure. That kind of leads me to my next question. What do you look for in someone's academics as a coach? Because obviously some ball players have rough academics and still are able to make it to play ball on full rides. As a coach, what does it say to you if a kid has bad academics? And do you think obviously you have, as a coach, you can change them? Is that why the reasoning for it?
Well, I think there's 2 things you got to take into consideration. You got to ask yourself: does the kid have LDL? Does the kid have a learning disability? Does he try really hard and has a learning disability, or is he lazy? All right, because those are 2 different kind of kids. All right, I've recruited 1 million kids that end up signing at former schools that I was at. Kid had a learning disability. And it's not that he wasn't smart enough; he just learned different than all the other kids. Instead of seeing words, maybe he saw pictures and pictures explained it for him. I had other places. The kid was a really good football player, but he was lazy. I don't want to recruit lazy. I don't want to recruit lazy. Typically, you try to look for a relatively high academic kid, but understanding there's going to be give and take in each areas. High academic kid, he may not be as talented. All right, talented kid, he may not be as high academically. So what you try to look for that happy medium. You know, you want a high academic kid that's really talented, but you may not get both of them. You know, and so you just it all depends on each kid. Each kid's relatively different. Me specifically, academic things I look for. I want them to be smart. I want them to be intelligent. Obviously, it makes my job easier. Right. You know, there's nothing more exciting than having a coach on the field. But you just want somebody who can handle their business as a man, and you know that they're not lazy.
Right. No doubt. So let's get into your personal time real quick. When is the most vacation time that you get as a coach, and how long is it?
I guess it varies from school to school, but typically it's at the end of June to the latter part of July, like that summer. When you guys are here in the summer, we usually have a month, around a month, off technically. You know, to kind of spend with our families and go on vacations. It's usually about 30 days. Yeah, because I mean, you guys, when it's season time, it's like a non-stop grind. In some places it's 2 weeks. You know, so it varies from place to place, but typically it's usually about 30 days.
Okay, cool. Pressure plays a key for both players and coaches, but more so the coaches. Players are expected to go out there on the field and perform, but players are also a key reflection on their coaches. If they play bad, it naturally kind of falls back on their coaches, you know? Right. So how do you, as a coach, handle that pressure when it comes to, like, if your player's not performing well? Because, you know, if I'm getting into coaching, I want to get into coaching, and, you know, I feel like my players aren't playing well, I don't really necessarily know how to handle that pressure. So.
Well, I think it boils down to how do you teach and how do you communicate. That goes back to one of our original questions. How do you teach and how do you communicate? I think a good coach can take pressure off of his players and solely put it on himself. And I just think just trying to make the game easier for him. Right. You know, I've never been around a player who developed his time watching film, studying the game, and didn't have success. Right. I've never been around those kind of players. Yeah. So the two kind of go hand in hand. Is there pressure in this job? Yeah, it is, and I think it varies from person to person on how you handle it. Like I said, I don't have a family to feed. I don't have no kids, and so it ain't for me. Pressure to most people, it's not much pressure to me because if I get fired, it's just me. I don't have to worry about nobody else. I have to worry about supplying nobody else's needs. So they decide to fire me, let me go, I'll be totally fine. I think I'm adequate enough. I think I'm smart enough to go out and get another job. For sure. But other coaches who have families, who've established themselves, who have long careers, who may be on the latter part of their career, I can see how it can be somewhat nerve-wracking. But you try to develop a relationship with your guys. You try to instill a lot of time in them. So when you guys do come up in those situations to where they are pressure situations, you guys have spent enough time together, both on and off the field, that you have a relationship. They understand that, you understand that, and they're willing to kind of run through a wall for you. Right,
no doubt. So you personally, I know this kind of varies as well because there's different ages for this. But what age do you want to retire? As you personally, like, do you think is a good point for you to say, okay, like, I've done my part?
Yeah, between 50 and 55.
50 and 55, yeah. I think that would be me too, honestly.
Yeah, between 50 and 55.
So do you want to one day become a head coach?
Absolutely, absolutely. And most people in this profession will tell you that one day they want to become a head coach. There's some dudes I met, they never want to become a head coach.
Yeah, it kind of varies as well. Okay, so I feel like just from observations that position coaches and coordinators have to do more work than a head coach. It's almost like if you're a head coach of a big university, you've served your time. Obviously, the pressure as a head coach is increased. Explain to me why my observation is either true or false on that.
Well, I think when you talk about more work, more football work, yes, more football work, but more work as a whole, absolutely not. I mean, he has to manage, the head coach has to manage 120 guys on a football roster. Yeah. Those guys get in trouble. Those guys get in any off the field trouble. It goes to the head coach. You know, the head coach has to deal with it, and then it goes to his position coach. Anything that happens outside this facility in regards to affecting this program, the head coach has to deal with it. Right. So the head coach is managing personalities from his 10 assistants. All right, that's work. Managing grown men. All right, managing 120 young men. If they get in trouble away from this place, that's work. You know, football work. No, he's not solely focused on football as much as the position coach. Right. But he has more work. I mean, he's managing a Fortune 500 company.
Yeah.
You know, in a sense. I think if you're just looking at it on the level of football, you're absolutely right. He doesn't have more football work.
Yeah.
If you look at it as a whole,
yeah,
he has way more work.
All right, cool. So, if you ever, I don't know if you've ever had this experience. I'm sure you do. Everyone in their workforce has some of these experiences throughout their time. But if you ever have a coach you don't like working with, how do you maintain that? Like, how do you you have to see them every day. You have to. And I guess it kind of breaks down to you know what I mean? Well, my question is here. Yeah, how do you do it?
Yeah, I think back to one of our original questions, how do you communicate with people? This is a people business. You're going to have teammates that you don't like if you play football. You're going to have classmates if you're in school that you naturally just don't like. You're going to have people in life that you don't like. And in most cases, you can probably get away from them. But how do you deal with people when you're around them 24/7? You're around them constantly.
Yeah.
Like, how do you deal with it? I think you got to first look at where you fall at on the totem pole, because there is always in business a chain of command. All right, and if they're higher up on a chain of command than you, all right. One, if a situation arises, you always, when it's over, you always approach them individually. Never, ever, ever have confrontation in front of them, in front of a room full of people.
Right.
Because information can be misconstrued.
Yeah.
You always approach them one-on-one. And in turn, they're more likely to understand where you're coming from if you do. Two, I think you got to build a relationship with them, even if you don't like them. Because ultimately, if the goal is to be successful, two people working in the opposite direction can never be successful. We all have to be on the same page, especially as defensive guys.
Yeah.
And so I would truthfully just say, I mean, you're gonna have to work in this world. You're gonna have to work with them, and you're gonna see these people in this building, at least the guys you're working with, more than you're gonna see your family.
Yeah.
And so if you don't like them, if it doesn't work initially, I think it's up to you as a person, all right, whether you are lower or higher on the chain of command, to make sure that it does work. And it may take some time, but I think you got to put your pride aside, all right, because a healthy working environment can be really, really special and can be great for long-term success if it's done effectively. If it's not, it can cause chaos, it can cause friction. You can lose games that way because people have their own agendas.
Right.
But I think it's up to you. I think it's up to that individual personally to kind of make sure that they build a relationship with whoever it is. Because oftentimes when people don't like each other, when people got issues with each other, they probably just don't understand each other, or it could have been a miscommunication thing. All right, or they probably don't know each other that well. I mean, it usually falls into one of those categories, and so I probably have to say you got to be the bigger person. Approach them in a one-on-one aspect and kind of get your thoughts off, and you guys can grow to, I guess, appreciate each other and coexist in the same environment.
Right. So last question here, just a brief, what is your main goal as a coach?
My main goal as a coach is to develop and teach young men not so much about football, but about life. That's the only reason why I got in this profession.
Yeah.
I mean, wins and losses are great to me. I want to win as much as the next man.
Yeah.
All right, but I got into it because of the people. I didn't get into it for the. And some people probably get into it for the wins and losses. I want to win, man. I do.
Yeah.
But that ain't really what gets me excited. What gets me excited when I get to see a young man graduate, when I get to see a young man change his life from where he comes from, and he earns a scholarship, or when a young man can take a moment that happened to him at college and apply it to his life and how it affected him for the better. Like I said, and if you meet a dude, if you meet a coach and he's gotten in this profession because of the money and how much it's paying, I promise you he won't be around long.
Right.
And if he does, and if he is around long, he'll be miserable. He'll be absolutely miserable.
Right, yes, sir. All right, well, I appreciate the interview, Coach. I really do.
You, man. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Get an A.